Alright, the countdown has done its job and time for us now to start the session. Hello and welcome to Vaidya's Chess Hub. And it's a fine Sunday noon, and we are going to take a look at your performances. We are going to take a look at what you could have done better. And of course, some observations that I have made is what I shall share with you. Now, first of all, we'll begin with a big congratulations to Kshitij, because Kshitij Datta has been winning a lot of tournaments and fair and square. There is no doubt about it. If you look at the statistics here that you have, he's played 6 rounds and a performance is 2159. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. It's a brilliant form. He is in top form at the moment and he deserves every bit of the success that he's getting. So he deserves it. Congratulations, Kshitij. That's my first comment for today. It's beautiful. And now we will get started with the feedback for the others. So as usual, we will take a look at the screenshots that I have taken. Well, this was the first one. Of course, the podium finishers. We've already talked about Kshitij. Saumitra was playing with the other ID that he has, Science0930. He played very well. His performance also was in 1900s. Vihang was the third prize winner and his performance was 1800 something. And he actually had a very good game against Datta. In fact, he and Deep, both of them had a very good game against Datta. In fact, if I am not wrong, I'm going to show you that game Vihang versus Kshitij, where Vihang was completely winning in the end game, but he overlooked the back rank. It's always a problem, and that's why he had to take a loss. We will start with the feedback. The first one that you see here is for Pragya. Now, in case Pragya is not with us, if Pragya is not with us, I would request Kshitij to pass on this to Pragya. And please, Kshitij, type in the chat if you would please do it. Just pass this to Pragya. This feedback is for Pragya. What happened was, she actually played the move that you see in the green here. She played the move Queen F5. This is her game against Namish, I believe. No, Purvesh or Namish, I don't know. Namish it is. You can see that. Namish 2011. And she missed a mate in 1. So you can see that if she had played Rook H1, it was mate on the spot. And she had 1 minute 53 seconds remaining. Opponent had 13 seconds. So there was a blunder. She had 1 minute and 53 seconds. She just had to play Rook H1 and it would have been a fantastic, cute looking checkmate. So please pass this. The point is that it would have been such a cute checkmate. And talking of checkmate, we will have lecture from Omkar sir very soon. I believe Rudra was asking us in the chat about the lecture by Omkar sir. We probably should have it in the next week. I will establish communication, and also if possible, I'll ask him to join us this Friday for the tournament as well. Talking of tournaments, Vihang, make sure that you post the message for the above 1400 for the bullet tournament if you are going to create one this evening. The under 1400s, of course, you need to play with me. This is your chance to play with me. We start at 6 p.m. Let's take a look at the next one. Now, this one is for Purvesh, and this is a very special feedback. Purvesh, I have seen your hello, sir, in the chat, so I know that you are with us. My dear Purvesh, you lost the first match, and you lost it by playing too fast. So you were the only person who should be blamed for that. Nobody else. But then you were so frustrated with your loss that you just decided to be on a pause. And that's not good. Purvesh, if you are with us, you are such a fantastic player. In fact, this week you finished on the podium, is it not? So, someone who finishes on the podium, someone who is a prize winner for the under 1400, under 1200 tournament, and you probably then were so frustrated with your performance because you could not take this loss. That's so not fair. So, Purvesh, I want you to have some sporting spirit. Everybody loses. I lose the games. Good players lose games, grandmasters, world champions, everybody has a bad day. They lose games, but does not mean that you take it so much to heart that you just put yourself on a pause mode. So you are a good player, Purvesh. Do not forget that you won some prizes. You remember everybody on WhatsApp was congratulating you. You finished on the podium, Purvesh. So occasionally when it's not your best day, you should not behave in an unsporting manner. It is very, very important. Okay. Alan, we will have a tournament in the evening. Well, this is a feedback session. Datta is right about it. But in the evening, we are going to play a bullet tournament. So if you are interested, Alan, you can go for the bullet tournament or you can play with me this evening at 6 o'clock. Very important. Okay. Meanwhile, there is a suggestion from my student Bunch of Lions for English. He says that if you can try it, you can increase the frequency from 2 lectures to 3 or 4, because now onwards in 6 weeks or so we'll start our prelims. Sure, Bunch of Lions, I will try my best to be online as much as possible. Just give me one confirmation, Bunch of Lions. Is it okay if we have a session Wednesday at 4:30, from 4:30 to 5:30? If that time is still good, let me know. And I will work on your suggestions to probably post 3 to 4 lectures. Okay. Good morning, Pooja ma'am. Pooja ma'am has just joined us. Welcome, Pooja ma'am. All right, back to our feedback. So, Purvesh, please remember that you should show some sporting spirit. Everybody loses games. At times, they have bad days. Even I am not in the best of forms right now, to be very honest. So, but that does not mean that I don't behave in a sporting way. Come on, you have to. Come on, chess is a good leveler. You're always, it's a roller coaster ride. You have to learn from your mistakes and become a good player. But I should not see you in a pause mode the next time, Purvesh. Remember that. Okay, this next one is for Samartha. Now, Samartha, when you're playing against 1-7, your rating is 1773. You're playing against a 1200 rated player. You cannot miss such simple things. The pawn on h2 is hanging here. You didn't take that. I'm a little disappointed. After white played knight to e3, you did not take the pawn on h2. Bishop takes h2 is a check. And I believe he would not like to have a discovered threat. So he would clearly play king f1. So these are the things that you have to work on. I've said this many a times that Samartha is one player, guys, that I really feel should be in the 1800, 1850, somewhere in that region. But 1773 does not tell you about his real strength. He is much stronger than that. And there are these things that I observe in his games. That's why he is where he is. So look at how clearly you have this open file, open H file, or let's say semi-open H file, because you have a white pawn on H2. And that's for you to take. The bishop's attacking it, the rook's attacking it. And bishop H2 is a check. So there cannot be an intermediate move. A check is a check. So if you don't want to play rook takes h2, well, bishop takes h2 is just fine, because king f1 is then obvious. He will not like to play something, that is going to give him a discovered check or something. So please remember that. If Sanchit is here, if Avdut is here, just pass on the message. Very important. Okay. Ooh, Pragya is here. So Pragya, I wonder if you got the feedback. Okay. Someone please help Alan share the link. You can use the Leech's message system. Please use the Leech's message system to pass on the details of the tournament. And Saumitra has calculated this, probably saying that rook takes h2 is better than bishop takes h2. I've not done that analysis. But anyway, that pawn is there for the taking, for sure. So make sure that you don't miss out on such opportunities. Especially you see the bishop, the knight and the rook. The queenside pieces are all on their squares, original squares. So white has not developed much. Yes, you also have not castled, but white's development is really wanting here. Bishops on c1, knights on b1, the rook on a1, not doing much. So please remember this. The next feedback is for Pooja ma'am. Pooja ma'am, I just read your good morning sir, I think. So this one is important. Datta will pass the message to you, Pragya. Pragya is sharing with us that she missed her feedback. So Kshitij will pass on that message to you. It was your game where you missed a mate in one. The game progressed. I believe that was against Namish. So make sure that you communicate with Datta. You missed a mate in one. You had a lot of time for that, Pragya. Oh, this one is for Pooja ma'am. You were playing against Durvang, and it is here. In fact, this is for Durvang, not for Pooja man. Pooja man happens to be one of the players, but the feedback is for Durvang. Is Kshitij here? Is Sanchit here? Did I get a hello sir from him? I don't quite remember. Avdut, Samartha, Sanchit, if anyone is here, your good friends, just pass it. Pass the message if the concerned student is not there. Here, you played the move that is suggested in the green arrow, with the green arrow. So, you played bishop to c8, and that was clearly not the best move. It's because you just allowed Pooja ma'am this wonderful knight c6 fork. And that's so not done. The better move, of course, was to play e5 to scare the knight. And then if you wanted, you could have played bishop c8 if that was your plan. But you immediately played bishop c8 here, which meant that Pooja ma'am played knight c6 and then you were an exchange down. So definitely, oh, Nijapkar is here. Thank you so much, Nijapkar. Please pass it to him. In this position, Nijapkar, your friend played the move shown by the green, indicated by the, shown by the green arrow. So that allowed Pooja ma'am knight c6 and this was not good. Come on, he's 1573. Again, like you, he should also be someone in 1700s, but you can see that he is 1573 and there is a reason why it is at, why he is at 1573. All right, so a bunch of lions. Wednesday looks okay. So we can use Wednesday either for a live lecture or maybe I'll post a lecture also on Wednesday. We will see how that goes. Wonderful indeed. Thank you for your suggestion, Vedant. I hope that you watched today's lecture. I covered a poem for the 9th standard. Okay, let us move on to the next one. This one is for Alan. Alan, I know you are with us. What happened? Oh, this was so what painful to watch. That's the word. Painful to watch. You stalemated your opponent, Sahil Prajapati. He got stalemated and as a result he got 5 points because he drew this game against 1729. Alan, be careful. You played the pawn to g6 and that's it. It was a stalemate. It was major disaster. So Alan, I know you are with us and I'm sure that you really dislike this move or probably realize that it is a stalemate just immediately after you played this. I have no doubt about it. Yes, it was OMG. You had, and in fact, in this game there were clear winning opportunities for you. You just wanted his king to go in the corner. But that was not the best approach. There were many occasions where you could have pushed the pawn beyond the black king. You can rewind this game and see what I mean. But you are not the only one to blunder this king and pawn versus king thing. There are others. There are others who blundered and I'm going to take a good lesson for those guys. Okay. So Alan, just remember when you are winning, you should win. And by the way, this is an important quote. Winning a one game is very important in chess. Winning a one game. And the other students have done their calculation. It was some people are saying it's mate in 4. Then this Soumitra is saying f4 was the best or whatever. You should allow the black king a square. Never play hastily because this is the end result sometimes and that hurts. So you didn't lose the game, but you sure lost 5 important rating points. That has done the calculation here. It says knight f5, king h7, g6 check. Finally, you could have finished this. Brilliant. Winning a one game. Jai, that was perfect. You should always reiterate those points that I say. Winning a one game is so important and at times so difficult in chess. You have a winning position, but you have to convert that. Next position, next feedback is for Avdut. Now, Nijapkar, you are here. I don't know if Avdut is here, but you can pass on the message. If you have signed up, if you know that you are going to play a tournament, why would you pause just because you have one bad game? You can see in the screenshot that Avdut has lost the first game. Look at Avdut. You can see that he's on a pause mode. He's lost the first game and then a blank and a blank. So if you have agreed to play on Friday, then you should play with proper sporting spirit, even if you lose all the games. I'm telling you that. That is sportsmanship. That is real spirit. You cannot just pause. I'm sure even Purvesh is again watching this closely. Purvesh, this is also another example of what your friend did, is just what you did earlier. This is not right. You should play with total spirit. Unless there is an emergency, then I can understand, but otherwise you should not behave like this. Okay, so Samartha, please pass on this message to Avadhut, please do so. And last time the mistake he made was that he did not submit his video solution on time, and to top that, well, he gave me such a performance in Friday's tournament, so he has to definitely do better. All right, Gopesh is here. Gopesh is Gopesh's interest in chess is like the phases of the moon. There is a waning and waxing. At times you see Gopesh being very enthusiastic, and sometimes he just disappears like a new moon night. Gopesh definitely need to be consistent with it. So sometimes you are so involved, I feel you are my student and so nice, and sometimes you are never to be seen. So consistently inconsistent. It's amazing. Jai, if you can type that. Gopesh is consistently inconsistent. It's amazing. Don't do that. The next one, again for Avdut. So this is the feedback. He gifted Deep this game. So now you can understand, Samartha, why I'm saying you should pass this. Deep got an easy victory here. If you have signed up for the tournament, you have to play. I mean, you just give some opponent one full point, and in Swiss League, the seniors will understand that in the Swiss League, this 1 point is so important, guys, so important. Just gifted this point, and he progressed when there should have been a fight. Well, all right, someone plays with you and then he defeats. So yeah, thanks, Jay. Absolutely, absolutely. All right. And Jay is absolutely right. I hope Gopesh will work on that. It's consistently inconsistent. So, absolutely, Saumitra is right. It's an oxymoron. Absolutely, the figures of speech. Wonderful, Saumitra. It's a perfect observation. Someone who is regularly regular is also an oxymoron. So, Avdut, please do not do this. Next feedback, please. Now, this is the game, Kshitij versus Deep, and I want to take you to this particular game, Kshitij versus Deep. This is the game I'm talking about, Kshitij versus Deep. And, well, Deep made a blunder that is just inexplicable, and by inexplicable, I mean that I really just could not understand why that happened. He is black, so let's look at it from the black's perspective. It's because the position was so equal, so nice, the game progressed very decently. It's an equal position, and then guess what? He has an opportunity to go pawn up here. Look at this beautiful move, and now you can see that the knight and the rook is attacking the c2 pawn. The c2 pawn is a goner. Okay, the c2 pawn, for all intents and purposes, is a goner. Okay. So I don't understand why he made a blunder. So those who have not watched this game, believe me, you know what happened later is just beyond belief. What happened was Datta realized that this pawn was, as I showed, this pawn was attacked twice. What Datta did was he played knight to e1, protecting it once. But by the way, still it is attacked twice and protected once. So still it's a pawn, as I mentioned, gone for all intents and purposes. And this is what Deep claims, that it was a mouse slip. And that is why you should be very careful with that touch and touch kind of a move rather than drag and drop kind of a move. So very, very important thing. Gopesh is appreciating the figures of speech, but please appreciate the point that I am making. Please be regular. You're such a good student, Gopesh, but sometimes you're there and sometimes you're not there. It's very confusing. Jay, I gave you the example. Remember, regularly, irregular. Well, that's what oxymoron is. When two opposite words come follow each other, that's oxymoron. All right. Now coming back to this, unbelievably, what Deep played was rook takes c2 question mark question mark question mark question mark, and this was a mouse slip. He says because he thought he had clicked the knight, but he had clicked the rook and then he clicked on the c2 pawn, and so actually rook takes c2 was played. This position is a pawn up position for Deep, which is manageable draw for Kshitij. Although he is a pawn down, Kshitij can definitely draw in this position. Although he is a pawn down, he would be. But this just sealed the game. This is just brilliant. Okay, so a brilliant lesson, that is a brilliant lesson for everybody. Please be careful if you are going for the click or click and click, or if you are going to drag and drop. Just be careful with it. Just make sure that you are consistent with how you make your move. Okay. What's next? After this, it was just an exchange down. Let's see if the position really was equal had Deep played the knight takes move correctly. There you go. Minus, it says minus 0.6. Yep, it's minus 0.6. But I will say this, that although it is minus 0.6, Datta could have held him to a draw because black has double pawn on the b file. That's a very important point. So very, very important point. Here you can see that the b pawns are doubled, so it's a drawish position, although it is minus 0.6. But all in all, I think that's why I say chess is. I told you, Soumitra, how this is a mouse slip. I'll tell you what happened. Okay, just rewind this. This is what happened. In this position, when it was this position, he clicked on the rook, and he then started thinking of what will happen if I take and take, or rather he clicked on the knight. I'm sorry. You see what I've done here? I have also clicked on the knight. And unfortunately, what happened was he thought that the knight will take, and then accidentally just clicked the pawn, and that's why rook take or something like that happened. It's a good lesson for students. Okay, this must not happen. That's what happened then. So very important. And going back to my point about why I think chess is a very good leveler is because he got that free game, the free point against Avadut. Remember in the previous screenshot we saw that. So this was a great leveler. So the point was taken away. Chess is awesome. Chess is a great leveler. Very, very important. Absolutely. Next one, please. The next feedback, that is talking about the feedback for. Okay. Now, there are some things about the end game. We want to look at a beautiful finish. Soumitra versus Vardhan. That's the game I want to talk about. It is Soumitra versus the next week. People who are wondering about the camera, well, it's already in function. We will have that from Tuesday. Or who knows, maybe this evening. From this evening. Yeah, you will see me on the cam. This evening itself. Now, Soumitra versus Vardhan is the game I want to talk about. Let's visit that game. Soumitra was playing with the Science 0930 ID, and he played against our new admission. Soumitra is playing with the black pieces. I must say that Vardhan was really playing well. I'm sure Soumitra also must have appreciated. Soumitra, did you appreciate Vardhan? He was putting up a good fight. Remember that he was only rated 1299 at that stage. So I must say that he was putting a very, very decent fight indeed. Of course, he realized that that's the threat. It's a typical for. And it was in this tournament that some people fell trapped into this fork thing. Typical pawn fork on e4 and e5. That happens. So this was the fork. Later, of course, there is a checkmate threat now. So the knight was played. He took the pawn. This is beautiful because if you take the knight, then he takes your knight. Bishop takes, and now a piece down. And now look at the way Soumitra went about his finish. Opponent's last move should be observed. Opponent's last move was observed. So queen h7 is a checkmate. I will come to that, Chitich, but of course that was the fork there. f5 to stop the mate. Queen to c4. Soumitra set up the rook against the king. Strategic move. Bishop and rook both attacking the pawn. And here, did Vardhan notice this? Vardhan, did you notice it? Two pieces attacking the g2 pawn. This is where you should be very careful. I'm sure that from the next time you will definitely show more focus. Is it not? Here, both the pieces are attacking g2 and there is definitely some way you can save it. But you played, unfortunately, just the pawn to c3. Because I think your focus was not on the g2 pawn. Your focus was on the hanging b2 pawn. And that's why you probably played c3. And it is here that I want to appreciate Soumitra for the forced checkmate that he correctly calculated. It is mate in 4 here, as the computer suggests. And Soumitra played it really effectively. So Soumitra, congratulations. It is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. And Samartha said that I think Kshitij's doubt is move number 16 that already happened. I don't know. Anyway, rook takes g2 check. Now notice this checkmate is so beautiful. Forced move here is king h1. It is the forced move, guys. Then rook does not come back but takes this important pawn on f2. What a beautiful finish. This is a check not by the rook but by this bishop. This is known as a discovered check. The rook moved and the check by the rook. But important, you take this pawn on f2. Again the king has to come to g1. Again rook g1 check. King h1 is forced again. And this time the rook can just come back. Although the right way would have been to cause this windmill kind of a thing. But oops, he played this move which is also mate. So bishop, everything is a waste move now. He just probably could have played the bishop takes. Then the rook would have played and the rook takes. And eventually this was a beautiful checkmate. Kind of Morpheus. The rook and the bishop. Beautiful checkmate. Isn't this the Morpheus checkmate? This is brilliant. And rook g1. What's up? Rook g1. It's just a brilliant checkmate. That's why I wanted to appreciate this game. Soumitra versus Vardhan. Beautiful finish. And now on to our lesson, guys. On to our lesson. What is our lesson? The lesson here is for Namish. Vihang is probably going. Vihang has his lecture, I believe. Bye, Vihang. By the way, do post the message regarding the bullet tournament. If you are going to create it, post it, okay? And share it. Soumitra can share the link with Alan using Leech's message. Alright, Vihang. So, the next feedback is for Namish. We are looking at Namish versus Granth game. Namish versus Granth. Let's take a look at that game. Where is it? Namish versus Granth. Yeah, Namish versus Granth. There you go. This is the game I'm talking about. This game ended in a draw, and it was such a painful draw. This position was reached, lot of exchanges. Finally, that rook was also lost. I don't know why. Okay, now here. This is a complete draw game. this is a completely drawn game, but here Granth made a mistake. Granth is white. Let's flip the board. Granth is white here, and this is a typical known position. Avnish, don't worry, Jay is using his phone right now, so there is autocorrect. There is a huge autocorrect Jay has, so he can never type Vihang correctly. That gets autocorrected to some Chinese name. Vihang is lucky that he is not here. He's not Chiang, he's Vihang, but that's an autocorrect by the cell phone. Now, here, the point of this is that Granth has a draw. He retreated to G1. That's not fair. You should look to have the opposition. So the correct retreat is king to F1. The king should go to F1. And now the pawn cannot just be pushed because king will take the pawn. So black will either have to choose between king E3. He'll have to choose either king E3 or king G3. Let's say he goes king E3. Now Granth should take the opposition, check, king F1, and this is stalemate. Granth, if you are watching this, Namish, watch this closely. Also, if the king chooses the G3 square, if black plays king G3, again go for the opposition, F2 is a check, king F1, and this is also stalemate. Unfortunately, what Granth did was he went to G1, and now this is not good because now black gets the opposition. And now if Granth tries something like king F1, there is F2, then king E2, very important move, king G2, and this pawn will promote to a queen. And black is winning here. Black is winning here. Very, very important. So, Granth, you actually made a mistake, and Namish, after that you missed a win. So Granth went to G1 and you played the move king to E3, which is also a kind of a winning move, because now what happens is if the king comes back to F1, you can push the pawn the same order and the pawn will promote. But unbelievably, what happened is this. Namish, I don't understand. Why is it that you never thought of giving the check? Or probably in this position, no, in this position, this will not be a good check. I beg your pardon. Why did you not bring the king closer? In this position, okay, in this position, you should push the pawn and you are winning. But you just kept moving the king. You just kept moving the king and it's a draw. It was a painful draw to watch. So, really speaking, this is not done. Learn from this endgame, Namish. Alright, and the same thing I believe was observed in Avnish versus Manas game. So, let's take a look at that. I'm talking about Avnish versus Manas. Avnish versus Manas. Here you go. So this was also another one of those painful draws. And by the way, black has a queen here, and it ended in a draw is unbelievable. Wow, he got his queen pinned. Extraordinary. Let's see if there were positions, if there were occasions where you could have just won the rook. Yeah, he could have played definitely better than what he did. He's got the queen pinned. So it's a check, and when the king goes back, this queen is pinned. So this is how he lost this. And then now look what happens here. Black is clearly winning here because black has a passed pawn without any obstruction. All black has to do is just to block this pawn and go for a winning game. You would not believe that Avnish managed a draw here. Avnish, you managed a draw here. Managed, I'm saying, managed. This was just amazingly painful to watch. Watch what happened. First, Avnish decides that let's move this pawn only one square. I'm tired. Why should I move two squares? Oops. Why should I move two squares? There is no obstruction. Let me move one square. And now watch what happens. Watch what happens. Ooh, now black took this pawn and just gave both the pawns away, and this was a painful draw. Avnish, you were not in time pressure. Let me show you how much time you had. At this point, you had 19 seconds, and this was a +2 incremental game. Don't forget that. Hello, Yogita Patil. This was an incremental game, so you cannot give the excuse that you did not have enough time. You had 20 seconds and +2 seconds increment. I will show you what you should have done here. This is all fine. Now over here, you should definitely just play this pawn, because if the king captures this hanging pawn, now this pawn is unstoppable. Avnish, this pawn is just unstoppable. So you should clearly follow this pattern. This is not good. This pawn was going nowhere. The king could have taken it any time. You should have just pushed b4, and the only move white has is to go king c4. Then you could easily take the pawn, because your pawn on c5 is immune. As I showed you, if white takes it, then this pawn just runs away with the game. That's it, Avnish, you would have won. Remember, when the moment the king takes this backward pawn, you can just push this pawn and win. If the king just wastes time, you can bring your king closer. Watch this, Avnish, learn this, and all the juniors. Now the king doesn't have the square. Now the king will have to go, and this is easily winning for black. Easily winning for black. Okay. So, who is saying bye? Yeah, Kavish is saying bye to all. Okay. Please take care, Kavish. I wonder where you are going, but okay, fine. Do take care. Please take care. Okay, let's continue. Let's proceed. This is an important lesson. Everybody, I thought, should definitely know about this. Okay. And now what? The next one is for Avnish versus Manas. No, remember this. And by the way, students are asking what draw means. It means that no player can win. No player can win. That's a draw. You can actually call it a stalemate, or you can say that no player is going to win. Neither black nor white can win the game. And in that situation, you say it's a draw. And instead of 1 point, both the players get half a point each. So just remember this. It's a very important thing to remember. And now, what do we have here? We have about 20 minutes remaining. So, we definitely can go ahead and do some tactics. I suggest that we go for the chess-based tactics instead of the leeches tactics, which some seniors have already done. Many a times we see that. So, please carry on with your chat until I set up the chess-based tactics. Chess-based tactics are always damn interesting. So let me just get myself logged out from leeches, and after that I will definitely join you with the chess based positions. Enjoy the music meanwhile. Okay, so that's our first position. It is black to play here, and I'm going to give you all 3 minutes to do some calculation. 4 minutes, let's say. Soumitra insists on 4 minutes because that will mean that you can do some real good calculation. It is black to play in this position. Everybody should try these tactics. Everybody can try. Everybody. You have 4 minutes. Try to calculate the entire line, Pragya. You're a very good student. Risha, where were you? I asked this question earlier as well. I wonder. We will look at the answer at the end of this countdown timer. Let everybody put in their thoughts. We've got a minute and about 10 seconds more. Just have some patience. This is really interesting. We're talking about pawn end games. So I thought it's best that we can start with a pawn ending position. Ayush Chavan is here. His calculation is b4. Bishop takes b4. And b takes a4. Guys, b takes a4 or b3 or what is winning or both? What do you feel? Yes, Reyansh has also joined us. Reyansh, did you join us a little late? What happened? That's the right policy. The end games are also, important, and at times studying end games is so important, as important if not more important than the openings. Again, going back to my quote that I just did during the lecture, winning a one game. All right, the time is up and time for me now to share the solution. So here, guys, the winning move definitely is what you all suggested. It is indeed b4, and if bishop takes bishop, then pawn takes pawn, that is b takes a3, and this pawn is just unstoppable. You cannot stop this pawn because the bishop doesn't have the move b3, bishop b3, because of the pawn. Now one more thing is, what happens if the pawn, instead of taking the pawn, takes the pawn on c3? Then what happens? Unfortunately, then white is winning suddenly, because now the pawn cannot push. So it's important that you understand which pawn to take. Guys, it is so important, so important, which pawn to take. You have to know this. You cannot take that c3 pawn. So you have to take that a3 pawn. Well, what happens if the pawn just pushes? Believe it or not, even despite of this attempt, white is winning, because of a simple reason, that if the pawn promotes to b2, seniors, watch this closely here. Don't take anything for granted. This is an important part of the explanation, that even in this position, if the pawn pushes to b3, the moment it goes to b2, white can play bishop c2 and is controlling the queening square. So now white will have a very nice idea of bringing his king over and controlling the pawns, while the bishop can just then move away, and it is white that has a clear winning opportunity. Here, if you put this in the engine, it will probably give you plus 10 at least. Plus 10. White's clearly winning here. So going back to my point, it is b4, and after bishop takes, well, let's also consider pawn takes pawn move later. But first, you should remember that the only winning move is bishop, that b takes a3, simply because the bishop doesn't have the b3 square and this pawn can promote. Well, what happens after b4 if the pawn takes pawn? In that case, bishop is free, and this is completely winning for black with a piece-up situation. So I'm sure that you enjoyed this position. Let me know if you really did. Somebody please type that for him in case that a pawn is promoted. Very important. Rajna claims that she is the one to give the full line, first to give the full line. Okay. Somebody please help Ayush here. How should the pawn, if the pawn reaches the a1 square, how do we write that? Okay. Next position, please. Yep. Thank you so much. A1 is equal to queen if it gets promoted to queen. Thank you all. Pragya, thank you so much. Saumitra, thank you. And even Vardhan has done it correctly. Saumitra has a special line. Saumitra mentioned a special line. b3 is also lost after b2, bishop c2. Yeah, that's it. He did say that. Yeah, sure. Okay. But that queen q should be capital. It should not be small, like Avnish has mentioned in the chat. No way. Let us see what the next position is. The next position is for the seniors only, because it's black to play. And will black manage a draw or will manage to win? What will happen is for the seniors next position. I repeat, the next position is for seniors, and it is black to play position. I repeat, it is black to play. Tell me whether you think black can win this, black can draw this, and if black can draw this, he's a rook down, remember, how? Yes, Pragya, you can try. No problems at all, Pragya, no problem at all, you can try. Really interesting, this one. Last 30 seconds, half a minute more. Can black do something here? Final 10 seconds. And the time is up. Guys, what do you think here? The correct answer is that black can at best only draw. But yes, black can draw is also a special thing because black is a rook down here. White has a rook on a6. And remember please that at the moment if white has a move, then queen g4 is mate. Just remember that queen g4 is mate. If it is white to play, then queen g4 is just checkmate. It's very important to note this, and I'm sure you all noted that. The way that black can draw this position is by playing queen e1 check. Notice this. King to g2 is almost forced because obviously queen f1 doesn't make sense. Queen takes check and also losing the rook in the process. So that's not fair. So it's mate in fact. So king g2 is forced. And now queen e2 check. Now I'm sure you did this calculation. And then this is the fork. Now it's not right for white to block the check with the queen and just lose the rook like that. So in the game, it's important. If king g1, believe me, if king goes back to g1, it is a mate in 8 moves after that. I'll show you very quickly. If king g1, seniors, you will definitely enjoy this. Please enjoy this. This is just outstanding, okay? If king g1, then queen h2 check, king f1, and not queen f2 mate. Remember there's a queen here. Now what you do is g2 check, and then there would be a discovered double check. So not king f2, but king e2 or maybe e1, doesn't matter where. Let's say king e1, and you get a queen, the forced move is queen f1, forced I'm saying, then you have the queen which is on h going to f2 check. This is extraordinary. Look at this situation where the queen is pinned. This is just extraordinary. The queen is pinned, the king cannot take the queen, but the queen can take the queen, but no queen cannot take the queen. Kind of situation where this is just outstanding. Watch all the variations, guys. Watch all the variations. Here, force move is king d1, and queen can just take the queen, and it's end of story. This is the forced calculation if king goes back to g1. Guys, I'm saying this again. Please watch all the calculations. Don't tell me what you've calculated. Fine, fine. Sure, you've calculated, but please pay attention. You might miss something. Now what happens is, after this check, actually, white should go on to take the pawn if he does not want a checkmate soon. Mind you, even king g1, I told you, was mate. Queen f2 is also clear mate. Obviously, because it's supported by the pawn, so this is just the end of story. Alright, so as I said, king takes g3, and now queen e5 check. How many of you actually can think of this? Is amazing, because it's such an interesting fork here. King cannot come to the square g4. Be mindful of that. So if the king moves, queen is lost. And the moment white takes the queen, hey, Avnish, Namish, Alan, you would love this. This is just amazing. Jai, it's oxymoron when it's opposite words. Queen and queen is not opposite. So this is why this is a stalemate. Guys, let me know in the chat if this is definitely something. You thought queen f2? Well, if you play queen f2, it is not okay. It is not okay, because the simple thing is white can play king takes f2, and now king h4 is possible, and then there will be checkmate. So queen f2 is not possible. Queen f2 will not work. I repeat, queen f2. If you are suggesting queen f2 in this position, it won't work. No, it won't. Alright. Anyway, let me know if you just enjoyed this. But this is just beautiful. This is shot in the arm, and black just manages to save the day. Believe it or not, what a beautiful checkmate this is. Guys, I suggest that we will go to the last position. We will do one more position. This is really interesting. Let's do one more position and then probably end the session to meet in the evening. The camera probably would be in working order. If not, then Tuesday surely. Surely on Tuesday, 100%. This one is again very interesting, where seniors should really calculate. Let me bring the position. There you go. Guys, this is white to play, not black to play. White to play. And I'm going to give you 4 minutes for this. Starting now. White to play, do detailed calculation. It is not easy, and this position is strictly for seniors only, please. Juniors, just listen, or if possible only the first move. That's enough. That's enough. Seniors, I expect something. Sure. Last half a minute, guys. And I'm very happy with the way the calculation is gone. Kshitij is saying, oh sorry, my second variation, not king takes g7 but only king takes e7. Okay. Last 10 seconds before we see the solution. I thought of going for the pawn positions because you messed up the pawn endings. This was only apt that we study these positions. Okay, time is up, and let me now reveal what it actually is. This is beautiful. Okay, so the winning move is indeed g6, guys. I'm so happy. g6 is correct. And now there is no way that the king should not take this f6 pawn. For example, if the king just goes to e6 and then g7, and what do? I mean, the promotion is just inevitable. So that's not the way to go. Also, what if there is king f8? Well, in that case as well, g7 is a check. And don't forget that the knight controls the queening square. Please pay attention. Whatever lines you've typed are just fine, but at the moment pay attention to the explanation. It's totally important, okay? So king not taking this f6 pawn is not right. The king definitely has to take this pawn. And I was so happy that you calculated this far. So it's g7 here, and now the pawn is just going to promote. So black king has to take that. And now such a beautiful move by knight to f5, and that's a fork. And after that, black can just resign, because after king f6, knight takes h4. Let's say the king runs, then there is king takes a5. Let's say the king keeps running, and now it is very important not to go for the wasting knight moves at all. Juniors, from this position it is for you, okay? For you, the most important move here is king b6. Shoulder the king, keep the king at bay, and then allow your pawn. Just babysit your pawn to glory. Just look at the diagram properly, guys. Look at the diagram. You move your king to b6. Just keep shouldering the black king. The knight just doesn't matter anymore, and you can just escort your pawn to glory. 100%. 100%. Alright, so remember that these are important techniques. King b6 and then king c7. Again, you can just try to shoulder the king one more time, covering these squares, not allowing the black king any entry. The pawn can just promote. It's nothing that black can do. Okay, I sincerely hope that this session was absolutely enjoyed and fruitful for all. It was a pleasure bringing you this session. We are going to meet in the evening. Vihang, if he creates a tournament, would post a message. Soumitra, please pass the message to Alan using Leech's message. And well, yeah, sure, the stream was fluent. We'll hope for even better settings the next time. And congratulations to all those who found out the answers. We will stop for now. Bye bye.